Everybody, this is Jim Fuge. Just wanted to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone. And in today's free lesson I'm going to give, it's so important, man. I got one tip for everybody, and this is probably geared more towards the guys who can play lead guitar right now. Alright, so I'm sorry to say, but if you can't play lead really right now, this tip is not going to probably help you too much, but definitely please listen, because it's really important to know. So, and maybe you can learn it up front, so when you do start learning how to play leads and solos and stuff like that, you'll be that much better. So I've taught many people over the years in person, one-on-one, and I've seen this happen many, many times before. And I was just fooling around watching some YouTube videos over the last week or two, and it's something that I guess I wanted to just teach out to you guys. And it's amazing how many people don't do this to me, and so I want to teach this to you. There's a million things you can do to become a better soloist, lead guitar player, and all that stuff, which is fine. But there's one thing that I think is so important that is so overlooked too. That's what's really funny about this tip. So the number one tip and I'm going to give you some great examples, to becoming a much better guitar player, if you know how to solo already, becoming a much better lead player, number one tip, wiggle. Wiggle. Wiggle your fingers. Okay? I'm going to give you some great examples. Wiggle. Like that. See it? And that's why I backed up today, because I want you to see a few different things. So, what happens, and it's a bit of a paradox, or it's kind of ironic, because there's a lot of guys, and like I said, teaching over the years, I've definitely seen this one-on-one, the guys who can play really decently, really play some leads decently, but yet they still sound slightly amateurish or sterile. So why is that? It's because they're not wiggling their fingers. They're just going through the notes. That's it. So when you don't wiggle your fingers, you lose you don't get any emotion out of the strings and come through in your guitar playing. When you do wiggle, it makes the world of a difference. Now here's some great examples, all right? So I see people do Crossroads, right? From time to time, I've seen people play it. Here's a great example. The part that goes... Move this up a little bit. Hold on. Right? I see people go like this. Excuse me, actually I'm playing it too nicely. I see people do it like this. Whatever, right? That's so not the way to play it. Here's the right way to play it. See how the fingers are wiggling? Alright, now, it doesn't mean that every time you play every note of every song ever, you have to go... You don't have to try and get as many wiggles as you can in when you play. But, especially when you have space, you should try... It always sounds better to wiggle a note than not. You know what I mean? Unless you specifically want that straight note sound. Let's do the extreme example, right? Listen. And that's bending the string. All I'm doing is pretty much hitting these notes. You see how my fingers aren't bending at all? This is the funny part, man. Is like a lot of guys know all the notes, or they get some of them right, and then they don't put any oomph into it, any feel. You got a lot of time right there to wiggle, you see? See all the wiggling? So, that's Crossroads. That's one example with people to show you how much better something sounds when you shake, wiggle your hands a little bit, your fingers. Okay, so now, another great example, and I'm not trying. By the way, I'm just trying to say this is a common problem. Ironically, with guys who can play pretty well, that's the funny part. It's just that they never really learned to wiggle their fingers when they were starting out. They just learned the notes, and they didn't put any feeling into it. And the way to put feeling into it is to wiggle those fingers, man. Here's another example. I've seen guys do Eruption. Not bad, actually. Not off the record, which I have on my video, of course, on my website. But if you really want to learn that lead break, I have it absolutely note for note. Stupid note for note. But anyway, and a lot of good tips if you want to get Eddie down. But I've seen people... Here's another great example. Okay, so anyway, great. They got most of those notes right. Most. Right? But it's amazing. Let's slow it down. This is what a lot of people do. Okay, so whatever. This is what they do. What's that? What the hell is that? That's bending from an E to an F sharp note. What's that? That's nothing. If you ever listen to this lead break, Eddie Van Halen is on steroids with the most aggressive guitar sound and feeling coming out. He's ready to kick, you know what? I mean, I guess I shouldn't curse, right? He's ready to kick butt, right? So, I mean, you know, to start the lead break with a big eruption, one of the most iconic solos ever in the world. That's good. At least you got that down. Ready to kick it, and you go like this. I mean, what is that, man? You don't want to do that. If you listen to Eddie, this is what he's doing. What is he doing? He's wiggling, which in this case, he's bending notes. It's kind of bending back and forth, but he's wiggling his fingers. So anyway, you hear the difference? And a lot of people, they get all these notes, most of them, not all right, but they get most of them, and you know, they're doing all this. They're doing all that, great. But when they started out, they're going like this. I mean, what is that, man? Listen to it. Go back and listen to Eruption. He's killing the strings. It's a miracle that he didn't break strings when he did this lead break. He's going like that, as probably as many times as he can before he moves on. So that's what I'm saying. This is something all the pros do, is wiggle those fingers, man. I cannot emphasize this enough. And like I said, it's really a bit of an irony, because it seems it's more of a problem with people who can play solos. They forgot about this very, very important step in playing. So, another great example, okay? As you can see, I can't emphasize this enough. You ever watch B.B. King? B.B. King, he'll play, here's the final big example, extreme example, one note. Now this I want you to try as a practice. I'm serious. You hit one note. What does it sound like? It sounds like you're just hitting a note. But how's this sound? Can you see me? Whatever finger it is. A little wiggle. Depending on which finger. Even your pinky. Middle finger. Which sounds better, this or this? Without a stretch, I mean a slide. Hold on. Or this. So, and if you ever watch B.B. King, he'll do that. He'll actually just hit one note and stay with it. Right? So when you try and practice this wiggling, it's so important, man. I'm telling you. What was I going to say? Try practicing it with slower songs first, because you can't wiggle everything, right? If you go in, you know. You can only wiggle so much, you know what I mean? There's no time. But when you have a little space when you're playing, a little space, get your fingers in the habit of wiggling. It's always better to wiggle than not, 99% of the time. And you'll be shocked when you hear yourself. You start sounding more like a pro. When you listen to any guitar player you can think of, name one guitar player that doesn't do this. Think about it. Randy Rhoads, Tony Iommi, you know, Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton. Name one, Jimi Hendrix, everybody. Name one guy, all these great guitar players that play like this. Simple little pentatonic thing, but listen how much better it sounds if you play it like a pro. Little bends, wiggles, you know, you don't have to go. But little wiggles, man, it makes the world of a difference. So, I'm just checking my notes because I don't want to forget what I told you, what I'm trying to teach today. Right, so again, that's what makes a difference between the pros and guys who haven't gotten to that level yet. And it's only this one. I mean, there's a lot of things. Don't get me wrong, of course. There's a lot of things to know for playing solos. And actually, the next lesson I'm going to do for free, which I think is really important, I'm going to explain how to improvise. because I think there's a lot of misconception on that. And this is for guys who are starting to get good at playing lead, and unfortunately you have to know your scales a little bit. And I'll teach us in the next lesson for free. But you know, I think it's, you know, it's nice to have somebody tell you, hey, this is how you improvise. It's kind of like a bit of a paradox, isn't it? Because I'm trying to tell you how to improvise, but isn't it all supposed to be coming out of you? You know, you're not supposed to be taught that, right? It's kind of a bit of a paradox, oxymoron maybe. So, but you can actually learn some good tricks how to improvise. So that's going to be the next video. But before you do that, and for anybody who's starting to play lead, or more importantly, the guys who are playing lead right now, it's so important to wiggle your fingers. It makes the world of a difference. So practice it with one note. One note. Get used to doing it, and then play like maybe play like against a slow song, you know. What a difference, right? You hear that? So practice something slow so you got a lot of time to do this, you know, because if you're not good at it yet, you need a little time. So get a slow song. But guys, I cannot overemphasize enough wiggling your fingers when you play. It's amazing to me how many people still don't do that, and even though they get technically good, they forget this very most important tip. And this is what brings about the life when you play the guitar, and makes it not sound sterile, but makes it come alive and brings out emotion, right? Because that's you're touching the strings. Do something with it. Don't just go, right? So that's what I'm saying. So one of the most important things you can do when you play lead to jump to the next level, as far as being a pro, is wiggle those fingers, man. Okay? So I'm Jim Fuge, and let's see, on the website I have some really good videos coming very, very soon. By the end of this month, I'm pretty sure. By the end of December, I think we'll have them in. And that is No Quarter by Led Zeppelin. Totally off the record. Man, if you're a Zeppelin guy, you really should at least check this. You should buy this video, because there's so many more notes in that solo, you have no idea, actually. You'd really be surprised. And it's really not easy to play right. And then I also have Crossroads Part 1 and Part 2. I finally put them on video. I've been meaning to get those two down for the longest time, but it's been a bear. Each one of those videos is about an hour, Crossroads 1 and Part 2. So it is just ridiculous lesson, each one. So anyway, check that out when you get a chance to. And what was I going to say? So don't forget, wiggle your fingers. Very, very important. Try it and listen to it yourself. You'll be shocked how much better of a guitar player you sound. And then if you can incorporate it into your style, so you have to make it become like a routine. Like, this is how I play from now on. I don't do this anymore. You don't do that anymore. You always wiggle when you have time. You always wiggle. You want to try and make your fingers, always get used to doing that. Okay? Because in the rare times that you don't need to wiggle, it's always easy to just lay back. But you want to make your fingers default to doing that. Okay? Because that's what the pros do, man. Listen to anybody who's professional, famous. You'll always hear a lot of oomph and inflection in their playing, and it's because of wiggling. All right? Let's see what else. And so that's it. You know, once again, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope everybody has a great holiday, and Happy New Year if I don't talk to you. But next video will be improvisation. I'll go over some really good techniques, how to get good at it. And I'm Jim Fuge, and this is guitarbyjimi.com. And I hope you've enjoyed this free video, and I appreciate everyone's support. And I'll see you guys on the next video or on my website. All right. Have a good one, guys, and rock on.